Morning, guys. Here we go. I like to just give you a little bit of insight of an accident that happened exactly 15 years ago involving an UPS cargo plane, 747-400 freighter version that crashed over the Dubai area as a consequence of a big, huge lithium batteries fire that occurred in the cargo area of this aircraft. I want to describe this not as an expert, just because I'm not, but just as a sort of radio witness, if you will, as I was in the area and I had the fortunate task of being the relay aircraft between the said 747-400 and the ATC units that were involved during that accident. So my angle is a pure human angle, if you will, of the accident, not a technical, because there's experts out there, the investigators and stuff. They really did their job, and it's pretty easy conclusion. They a lot of lesson learned as well out of that accident. Anyways, it was the evening of September 3rd, 2010, so 15 years ago, and I was the first officer at the time, taxiing behind the UPS 6 out of Dubai International, taking off from runway 30 right on a beautiful afternoon. UPS 6 was bound to Cologne on a second leg of a Hong Kong, Dubai, Cologne flight, and it was beautiful to see that 747 taking off. It's the best civilian aircraft ever built. Anyways, it took off in front of us, and right after maybe 6-7 minutes, we got airborne, same direction towards the west, towards the Bahrain airspace, where the airway, the flight plan would have led to. We were going to Istanbul, Sabiha, that evening. So we were basically doing the same route as the 747 up until a certain point, and it would have obviously split up, and then we would have taken another route to Turkey. That never happened, unfortunately. So we got airborne, still in the climb out. We heard an urgency in the air. As soon as we switched over to Bahrain, ATC, there was his distress crew talking to Bahrain and telling it that we're on fire. They had smoke in the flight deck, smoke in the airplane. They had to go back to Dubai. That was the initial. They did, so they did 180 over the ocean while we were proceeding west. So we merged at some point, and they couldn't get in touch with the UAE because they couldn't see. Imagine that. The smoke was so dense, they couldn't see the instruments. He couldn't see, the first officer. Captain was Douglas Lamp, and from Louisville itself, a very expert aviator. So it was Matthew Bell from Sanford, Florida, Embry-Riddle graduate. Never got to know him personally, but I heard his voice. It's good enough. Anyways, he was trying to go back to fit dry somehow from the ocean, but he couldn't change frequency. So we offered our help. One box was with Bahrain, the frequency that he was, and the other box was, the other radio was tuned in with UAE, so we could actually relay his signals and his messages. At some point, it got fit dry. He wanted to land Dubai, but it was too fast, too high to be able to take runway 12, which is the obviously eastern runway that he wanted to land on. That was the first choice, the quickest one as well, but he couldn't do it as it was too fast. So we were relaying this information to back and forth from the aircraft in UAE. UAE being the United Arab Emirates approach for Dubai, in charge for that, because he couldn't do it. So he was still with Bahrain. Imagine that. So we were doing 32 20 with him, and relaying his messages down to Dubai, trying to make it work. At some point, they told him to slow down, and I remember that vividly. And he said, "Guys, we're in fire. We can't really slow down." And he couldn't. So he was descending, trying to see something, trying to land his aircraft. The captain, in the meanwhile, was gone because he lost his oxygen mask capability. So he went back to get his emergency mask. He never came back. It was to the flames, and he got killed by the smoke itself, not the fire. So the first officer solo, he couldn't see anything, couldn't drive it because the flight controls went off as well. And at the end, we were still flying, trying to, again, to convey his messages, to trying to help him out. At some point, my Air Force kicked in and said, "I want to." That's not even funny, but I want to go and lead him, and get him my wing and let him land. Imagine that, in my dreams, anyways, my nightmares. But unfortunately, he saw something at some point. He asked for Sharjah ILS frequency because that was his option 2. Only left him, but I never could actually do it. And we read the altitudes of the aircraft. ATC read the altitude of the aircraft, and we could hear them. And in the one from 1,000 to 500 to 400, lost track. And then we receive an ACARS messages that the crash happened over the Dubai area. Luckily, if you can call that, didn't hit anything on the ground. It crashed over an air base, Dubai area in the inner side. And obviously nobody survived. 2 pilots. And that was it. So the rest of the flight for me and the captain, that was a quiet flight. We didn't speak a word. Nothing, zero. Until we touched down, we vacated, and we cried. We did. Anyways, I wanted to give you to share this my testimony and bless their souls. See ya.